Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Tom Homan makes Stephen A. Smith look like a complete buffoon, all because this dude doesn't understand what we're trying to do with illegal immigration. Let's dive in.
You heard folks on the right as Trump was pursuing regaining the presidency, where they were talking about how the criminals have got to go. We're going to target them and we're going to go after them. So when you say that, I get where you're coming from. The difference is that the impression was given everything was in an effort to get the worst of the worst out of the country. And what folks on the left and folks that are just average American citizens are pointing out is that they don't see that enough of that is happening, that quote unquote innocent civilians in this country that happen to be in this country are the ones being targeted, where you're going to a school or you're going to their workplace or what have you, and you're taking them away in an effort to deport them. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, we don't do operations in schools. We don't do operations in churches. I read that all the time too. It's a fake story, but we are prioritizing public safety threats. That's why the majority of people we arrest are criminals. The majority of people we're detaining are criminals. That's just a fact. But just because we're prioritizing public safety threats doesn't mean everybody else gets a pass. Because if the message we want to send, Stephen, to the whole world, you can enter the country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can show up in court or not show up in court and get a final order of deportation from a federal judge, don't worry about it. As long as you don't commit another crime, you're home free. That's not the message we got to send to the whole world, because if you do that, you're never going to fix the issue. People are going to realize I can get to the United States, I can cheat the system and make a false asylum claim. I'll later be ordered removed, but I never got to leave because I didn't commit another crime beyond illegal entry. There are millions of people standing in line today trying to be part of this country, the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, and they're taking their tests, they're paying their fees, they're doing their background investigation to be part of the greatest country on earth. They're sitting in the back seat while millions of people came to our border and cheated the system. And I say cheat the system because of this. What people don't talk about, they say, well, these are all asylum seekers. Okay, you can call them asylum seekers because they're seeking asylum. But if you look at the numbers, over the last decade on immigration court, 9 out of 10 asylum seekers at our border end up with an order removal, because they're not really asylum seekers. They're not escaping fear and persecution from their home government because of race, religion, and political affiliation. They're coming here for a better life. And I get that. They're coming here for a job. I get that. But that's not asylum. So we can't send the message to the whole world, ignore law. Even though we're a nation of laws, you can go ahead and break the law, enter the country legally. And here's what happens when we send that message. You overwhelm the Border Patrol, like what happened during the Biden administration. 70% of agents are no longer on patrol because they're taking care of this humanitarian crisis that was created by open borders and not enforcing the law. And when you overwhelm the Border Patrol, that's when the fentanyl came across to kill 250,000 Americans. That's when sex trafficking was at an historic high. That's when a record number of terrorists crossed that border. Under Trump, 45, we had a total of 14. Under Biden, over 400. So when you don't enforce the law and you don't show consequences, people feel welcome to come across. It overwhelms the Border Patrol, where they're dealing with now they're dealing with this humanitarian crisis, but their national security job is fractured because they created gaps in the system, because there are areas of the border where there's not a single green uniform because they're busy changing diapers, making baby formula, and making hospital runs, whatever is required. It's important we send a message to the whole world. There's a right way and wrong way to come to this country. And if we don't enforce immigration law beyond the criminal, that's not the message. We can't send that message. That's the message the Biden administration sent. The Biden administration said, cross the border illegally, you won't be removed. You'll be held for 24 hours. We'll give you a free plane ticket to the city of your choice. We'll put you in a free hotel room. We'll give you 3 meals a day. We'll give you free health care. And in 120 days, we won't give you work authorization, which is really the reason that we came here. That's why you saw the crisis you saw. We have to show the world we're the most welcoming nation on the planet. We welcome more refugees in this country than any nation in the world. Well, there's a right way and wrong way to do it. We cannot support illegal activity. We just can't do it. It sends a bad message to the whole world.
Y'all, this video right here might be the very reason that Stephen A. Smith doesn't run for president. No, seriously, this dude thinks that he can run for president, and he'd have a very outside chance. He wants to run as a centrist-style Democrat. You can even see in this entire video here, Tom Homan went on a basically 3-minute monologue, which is rare, very, very rare in mainstream media outlets, but Stephen A. Smith isn't quite in the mainstream here. This is his own show. Remember, he tried to get a little political and give Donald Trump a few positive points a couple of years ago, and the Disney Corporation told him to shut up. I am not joking. ABC, which owns ESPN, which basically owns Stephen A. Smith, is all owned by the Disney Corporation. And he gave Donald Trump a couple of positive accolades, and lo and behold, he then got not a by judge, but he got a Disney company gag order. Remember Gia Carano? Yeah, she got the same kind of gag order and basically abused it, and that's why she's been kicked off of Disney sets, and that's why she's persona non grata in Hollywood sets to this day. Hey, y'all. Experts say they rig the markets, print the money, and manipulate the system. But here's the truth. They can't print gold. While the dollar weakens, physical gold and silver stay real, tangible, uncontrolled. When banks go digital and emergencies lock you out of your own funds, gold and silver won't need an internet connection or government permission. Their value is outside the system, a time-tested insurance policy against tyranny, inflation, and economic resets. So don't wait until the trap is sprung. Own what the elites hoard behind closed doors. Physical gold and silver off the grid, because when the system fails, real money talks. And to help you learn more about owning physical gold and silver, we have partnered with the great company Goldco, which supports this channel, which we deeply appreciate. So check out politbralgold.com for more info and see if you might even qualify for free silver. That's politbralgold.com. But Stephen A. Smith knows which side of the bread is buttered, and so he's not going to go off the rails, at least when it comes to politics. He knows his lane, but he also knows that something's wrong with the system. The dude has an amazing work ethic, by the way. He has multiple shows, and while his sports analysis is mid at best, although him dunking on the Dallas Cowboys will always be funny to me, because he's right. Jerry. I think we know what the problem is in Dallas, and it ain't the Cowboys. Regardless, however, regardless of football, the reality is Stephen A. Smith wants to run for president, has the voice to do so, and he wants to run as a moderate. But he doesn't understand what Tom Homan is doing. He doesn't understand what Tom Homan is talking about. And he's an inquisitive dude. Stephen A. Smith does care about information. That's why he's letting Tom Homan speak. If this was Caitlin Collins or Jake Tapper, they'd be interrupting Tom Homan left, right, and center. Or at least that's what they used to do. They can't really do that anymore because the mainstream media has figured out the hard way that maybe, just maybe, they either need to come back to the center or they need to start giving Republicans more of a platform in order to bring back the very people that they keep on pushing away. Well, guess what? The people you pushed away, conservatives, normal Americans, you've pushed them so far to the edges that we're now here on YouTube. We're listening to people on podcasts, on Spotify. We're listening to people that are giving their best version of the unvarnished truth, and that's why Tucker Carlson now has an even bigger platform, even though Fox News was forced from the lawsuit to kick him to the curb. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is Stephen A. Smith doesn't really know what he's talking about. And it's not because he's an ignorant person, it's just because of the fact that he doesn't really have a full grasp because he's been caught in his own media net. And so, because he is an inquisitive person, he's letting Tom Homan speak. And the reality is, we're trying to deal with this illegal immigration problem. We have had up to 30 million people enter this country in the past 15 years illegally. That's a problem. All right, that's almost 1 in 10. A better number, I think, is 1 in 11, but let's be honest, 1 in 10 is a better way to describe the issue. And it's a thorny one, because the religion I subscribe to does talk about taking in the immigrant. It does talk about treating your neighbors with fairness and kindness. But in the modern era, how do we do this properly? It's not by letting in people carte blanche. It's not by providing cover for the cartels. It's not by allowing the unvarnished traffic of fentanyl to harm American citizens. This is a multi-pronged operation that we must get a proper deal with. That we must, to quote Barney Fife, nip it in the bud. We've got multiple issues that we have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. And illegal immigration is only sort of an umbrella. There are multiple issues that fall underneath that. But we've got guys like Tom Homan who have finally opened the umbrella, so to speak, to protect the American citizens from major problems that are mostly posed by not only the cartels, but the Chinese Communist Party. During the Biden administration, there were reports that the Chinese Communist Party were using their influence in order to get people from Latin America to immigrate illegally into the United States. Then there were the stories of Venezuela opening up their prisons. That was posted as fake news. Turns out that was actually the case. We were hearing rumors of this almost 2 years ago, and we started reporting on it, and it was immediately shouted down, but now it turns out that is the unvarnished truth. Never forget the story of Laken Riley, by the way. So Tom Homan is explaining the problem to Stephen A. Smith, who is, again, an inquisitive person. He cares about the truth, but he doesn't have a full grasp on it himself. And that's why he doesn't interrupt Tom Homan. That's why Tom Homan's given this great answer here. And that's why Stephen A. Smith is not going to become president. The dude, simply put, doesn't know enough, doesn't have a full grasp on the issues, but he does have a prominent voice and has called out other Democrats himself for losing the center, for losing the plot, and he's trying to rediscover that himself. So I give props as much as I can to Stephen A. I appreciate what he's trying to do, but ultimately, Tom Homan is doing the job that we elected Donald Trump to do, and we're very grateful for that. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.